Crowd on another gorgeous night for baseball at Dodger Stadium, and we welcome you to Major League Baseball's opening week on Spectrum Sportsnet LA, presented by Humana. Giants taking the opener 1-0 last night, and now game two, and we're thrilled you're here with us. Joe Davis or Hershiser. Alana Rizzo joins us in a moment, and I know I speak on behalf of all of us when I say we're so excited to be with you for another season of Dodger baseball. Our first one here is game two, as the Dodgers behind Alex Wood try to get in that win column.
An awesome year last year. Unbelievable anticipation again here tonight with Kirk Gibson bobblehead night. The electricity is right there with us. And I'll tell you what, the Dodgers need their first win.
Alex Wood tries to give it to him against Johnny Cueto. It's the Dodgers and the Giants. We've got first pitch just around the corner from Dodger Stadium. Time moves in one direction, memory in another. It's doubtful the author had baseball in mind when he wrote it, but as the Dodgers move into this new season, perhaps it's fitting. A franchise identified by its tradition.
Swung on and missed, a perfect game.
Woven into the fabric of baseball's past. A franchise that spent last season adding to the memory bank that is Dodgers baseball.
Swing and a drive. Absolute madness.
Not a question of if. The question is who and when.
They just keep coming at you. These 2017 Dodgers are something.
The fly ball to center field. At the wall, a 3-run walk-off home run for Justin Turner.
One win short of the finish line. The Dodgers enter 2018 with one goal in mind: to finish the job. This season-long story is about to write itself. Each turn of the page set to bring a new memory. As time moves in one direction, memories in another.
Moment after moment, memory after memory.
Off we go with 2018. We are all set to go. Game 2 of the 2018 season, and now we go down to the field, brought to you by El Pollo Loco with Alana Rizzo.
All right, Joe, thanks very much. Chase Utley getting the first start at second base of the 2018 season, largely because of the matchup against right-hander Johnny Cueto. He has good numbers against Cueto. But Dave Roberts also added that Kike Hernandez's approach and at-bat quality has been great, and he's proven he can play against righties, but Chase Utley needs to get starts as well. Dave Roberts saying that Kike will get 2/3 of the starts at second, guys.
All right, Alana, but it will be Chase Utley for the first time in that starting role tonight. The pinch hit opportunity last night came through with a base hit. With the sun setting, the Giants get ready to come to bat for the first time tonight. Here is their starting lineup, brought to you by 76. A much different look to it from a season ago, with Austin Jackson, Andrew McCutchen, Evan Longoria, 1, 3, and 5 in the order, all new to San Francisco. Hunter Pence moves from right to left with McCutchen's addition. Brandon Belt is at first base, and Brandon Crawford starts at short and bats 8th. Against the 27-year-old of the Charlotte, North Carolina, Alex Wood, and look at those numbers from a year ago.
A year ago, the totals were great. The first half was amazing, 10-0, and his first All-Star selection. A 3-pitch pitcher now, fastball, changeup, breaking ball, and he has eliminated that windup. Last year, they hit 238 from the windup off him, but you know what? They only hit 186 out of the stretch, so he's going stretch only.
Said he was sitting in the dugout in a game late last season in Washington watching Steven Strasburg and just had an epiphany and said, you know what? Why would you ever have 2 different deliveries when you can streamline it and have just one? So out of the stretch, off we go with a fastball strike. Closed captioning tonight brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. So this is Austin Jackson. He started his Giants career with a base hit against Kershaw in the first inning yesterday. Starting center fielder for the Giants, hits one to center field. That's where Chris Taylor's waiting for the first out. Wood was having that conversation with Brandon McCarthy, who's now with the Atlanta Braves, but I think the exact words that Alex had were, what idiot came up with a windup?
Well, the mound was a little higher in the days when the windup was around. It's only 10 inches high now, but they lowered that after the '68 season. And you know what? The windup has its benefits of that linear motion to home plate, get a little momentum.
So Panic hooks at a ball.
But the strike zone has shrunk over the years, and pitching has become more about specifics and hitting spots than it is merely about stuff.
Here's his 1-0 to yesterday's hero. And a strike.
And it really stirs the juices when the Giants retool. The rivalry is one thing when it's historic, another thing when you just beat up on them. They were the first team eliminated from the playoff picture last year, but now that they've retooled, the rivalry continues.
2-1. There was 64 and 98 a season ago. Second worst record they've had since relocating to California, and tied the Tigers for the worst record in baseball. A lot of teams you'll see have a season like that and completely tear it down. They decided with a lot of the core pieces under control for quite a while that that wouldn't be the right thing to do. So they tried to build around the existing group and hope for a bounce back here. It breaks over the outside corner and it's 2-2.
And what a contrast compared to the Dodgers that stayed pretty much pat. A few add-ons here and there, but other than that, the blue has come back the same strength and the same personnel.
After the 104 wins and a 5th consecutive division title, first pennant since '88. Trying to win one more game in 2018. He's one of the only new faces, and he's only kind of new. Matt Kemp in left. Wood lets another 2-2 fly. Panic with a cue shot. At third, Logan Forsythe. 2 up, 2 down.
Played perfectly. The Dodgers have some of the best defensive positioning in all of baseball, and Logan was right there in the hole.
So with the bases empty and 2 out, here comes Andrew McCutchen. Isn't it weird seeing a guy who plays almost a decade in one uniform wear another uniform? You're seeing it with 2 guys, both McCutchen and Evan Longoria, who will bat 5th for San Francisco. But so used to seeing Longoria in that Rays uniform, so used to seeing McCutchen in a Pirates uniform, where he spent his first decade in the bigs. I guess the same could be said for Chase Utley in a Phillies uniform for a while.
It's strange for us. Think about the people in Pittsburgh. I was watching that early game, Pittsburgh-Detroit, and they were actually talking about that on the air. How strange it was to see McCutchen in that Giant uniform.
Had a double in his Giants debut yesterday off Kershaw. '31-year-old Andrew McCutchen slaps one the other way. Yasiel Puig on the move. He will run it down and finish a 1-2-3 first for Alex Wood. On just 11 pitches, the offense comes up against Johnny Cueto when you come back. Game 2 of the 2018 season. Dodgers and Giants to the bottom of the first inning. Opening weekend here in 2018. We welcome those of you that are joining us on KTLA tonight. So thrilled to have you with us as the Dodgers come to bat. This lineup is brought to you by 76. Same look at the top of it as yesterday with Chris Taylor to lead it off, then Seager and Puig. The one difference comes in the cleanup spot where Kike Hernandez is no longer. Cody Bellinger moves there. Grandal hits fifth. Kemp is in left. Utley with his first start, and Logan Forsythe out of the 8th spot. All against the 32-year-old from the Dominican Republic, now in his 3rd season with the Giants, Johnny Cueto. Coming off a very disappointing season, marred by injuries, and they need him, especially with Madison Bumgarner, with Jeff Samardzija down. They need Johnny Cueto to regain the form from that All-Star 2016 season. Rocks and deals in 0-1. And it gets into the hands of Taylor, who will pop out to Brendan Bell.
Cueto was limited to 25 starts last year. Similar blisters that Rich Hill dealt with, and also some forearm tightness. And it was a very off year for him, one of his worst since his rookie year. And he did not opt out of his $130 million contract after a rough year like that. Decided to stay with the Giants, and that was a pretty good decision compared to entering the free agent market that was not real free this year.
Here's Seager. Strike one. Isn't it interesting, though, that going into last year, the narrative was, well, of course Johnny Cueto is going to opt out after that huge 2016 when he had a sub-3 ERA. But by the end of the year, it was almost completely opposite of that. Of course he's not opting out. Of course he's going to stay. And did decide to keep that contract rolling. 6 years, $130 million, like you mentioned. Pulls the string, and it's 1-2. So went home to the Dominican Republic to train for the year on his 500-acre ranch that he has there. Spent the offseason riding his horse, tending to his cows and his goats, and his 400 chickens that he's got there. It's 2-2 on Seager.
Well, it's a risk sometimes to hold on to and trust in older, aging right-handers, especially guys who have struggled with injury. But in the middle of the guaranteed contract, this is a guy you can still trust as he loses a little velocity and stuff, because he is such a good quote-unquote pitcher.
Here he comes with a 2-2, varying that windup and dropping one low and inside, full count. Turner Ward called Johnny Cueto a pitching genius. Doesn't have the same stuff that he once did, but when he's healthy, he's still effective. A hard line drive to right that Andrew McCutchen catches.
Right fielder, number 66, Yasiel Puig.
Here's Puig. He was hitless yesterday with a walk. In fact, the top 5 in the Dodger order in that 1-0 loss yesterday, a combined 0 for 17. How rare is that? Top 5 in the order went hitless once out of the 162 games last year. So I guess they got it out of their system in a hurry. There's the man that shut him down for 5 innings, Ty Blach. Cueto's 1-0, and Puig takes it low and inside, ball 2.
Last year's opening day, 14 runs, the high mark of the year. They are looking for a crooked number here today.
On a 2-0 delivery. Puig takes a wicked cut and misses, 2-1. But as a sign of how quickly things can change, remember what happened the day after they scored the 14 runs last year? Clayton Richards shut him out.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just flipping the script here in the first 2 days this year. 2-2.
Cueto's coming at you with his fastball, his cutter, and his change. He used to throw a lot more sliders and curveballs, but really relying more on the changeup and the cutter now. Velocity down a tick. He'll average around 91.
Good take by Puig, full count. Yeah, the velocity was about 94 a few years ago. 1 tick, 1 mile per hour each season the last few years. Puig trying to keep the inning alive for Bellinger. Cueto home with a 3-2. Puig stays alive.
A quick pitch delivery with a changeup behind it, so you're looking for a flinch swing. Yasiel did a very nice job not selling out to the delivery, but fighting that pitch off. A little short leg kick right there, but then that pitch came in at 84, 7 mile an hour off the average fastball.
3-2 again with a quick pitch, and Puig gets a pop fly. Andrew McCutchen, 1-2-3, go the Dodgers in the first. Off and rolling on a perfect night for baseball. Wind up. What are we getting rid of?
Well, we're just getting rid of a little bit of a sidestep there on the left. Is all he did was step back, step sideways, and now starting from the stretch on the right, he just kind of evens up the feet as far as his direction to home, lifts the leg and comes right at you. So really just eliminating a little step back and a turn. It wasn't a very large windup to begin with.
Work to 1-2-3 first inning. The second begins with Buster Posey, who has good numbers against Wood lifetime. 1 ball and no strikes. Now the knee jerk that a lot of people have when you think of eliminating the windup is, well, you're going to eliminate or cost yourself some velocity. Wood says he thinks that's an overrated theory. And I guess only time will tell as we get into the season and see where the velocity is as he falls behind Posey 2-0. What do you think?
Not to get in it scientifically or all the biomechanics of it, but I understand his thinking. My first blush with it when I heard he was going to do it was just the deception of having 2 different deliveries. From the first time around the order, a lot of the guys you'll probably face from the windup, and maybe later in the game when you face them in a tough situation, it's the first time they've seen you in the stretch. But in today's day and age, multiple deliveries are being thrown now from the stretch. A la Cueto from his windup, a la quick pitches, and all the different things that Kenley Jansen, Clayton Kershaw, Rich Hill are doing.
Bellinger's got it on a 3-0. Alex Wood gifted it out there.
So the variety of deliveries, let's say, putting them all windup and stretch all in one category, there are still multiple deliveries out there with guys that are just going to the stretch.
Here's Longoria. Strike 1.
If you think about when a runner reaches first base for a left-handed pitcher like Alex Wood, he's going to use multiple looks over there. He's going to go short, quick step if the guy's a base stealer. He's going to have his normal leg kick if the guy's a little slower, like a catcher that doesn't run. He might have something even in between. So multiple deliveries happen naturally through the strategy of the game. But now, in today's day and age, guys are simplifying parts of their delivery and then varying it at special times to get guys out.
Longoria was 0 for 4 yesterday, struck out 3 times. He's in an 0-2 hole here. Puts it in play, but an easy play. And again, 2 up and 2 down. Logan Forsythe throws Longoria out. Wood said he spent the first month of the offseason kind of tossing the idea around in his head, because it's one thing to have the epiphany sitting there in the dugout the way that he did in Washington on that Sunday night in September, but it's another thing to really dive in and commit to it when you're already an established, successful, all-star major leaguer. And so he hemmed and hawed some. And then the first time that he picked up a baseball to start his offseason throwing program, he said, you know what? I'm doing it. 1 pitch to get Hunter Pence. 7 pitches to get the Giants 1-2-3 in the second.
Experience to catch every moment this season. Get Dodgers home screen icons and features such as MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
And under a full moon, we open the bottom of the second with Cody Bellinger taking a healthy rip at a Johnny Cueto pitch. And then they got a healthy chunk of Jim Reynolds behind the plate. Cody was 0 for 4 in his first Major League opening day yesterday. Of course, last season was called up from AAA a few weeks into the year and made his debut in San Francisco against the Giants. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's been good against Cueto through 1 year in the majors. On a 1-1 pitch. Fouls it off. 215 pounds now, which is about 20 pounds heavier than he finished last year. I mean, the longest minor league season you can play with postseason games is going to be about 150. He was playing somewhere in the neighborhood of 180 last year. And so it was hard for him to keep the weight on. And that's the whole goal in putting the weight on, is that you got a little more wiggle room and you can afford to lose some as the season goes on, because he was not happy with the weight that he finished last year at. Another 1-2. A little rock in the delivery, and it just misses. In fact, Bellinger might have taken a step towards the dugout.
Posey popped up like it was a strike. He might have popped up a little early in receiving the ball. No, framed it nicely and just didn't creep back there to hit that inside corner. Nice eye.
Right-hander home with the 2-2. Bellinger hits a big bouncer. They were shifted over. And Longoria with a nice play. Tough play for anybody, let alone a guy who's not used to coming at it from that angle. The third baseman throws Bellinger out for the first out.
All kinds of shifts in the big leagues and all kinds of positioning of different players. Giants bringing their third baseman over to play the second base bag for that play, leaving Crawford at home at short. Very nice play. It doesn't look like the 20 pounds has slowed Bellinger down a bit.
He was the fastest Dodger last year. Same thing that gives you exit velocity and spin rate. All those things can give you speed. Statcast, Cody Bellinger is the fastest. Ball one on Yasmani Grandal. One of the lone bright spots offensively for the Dodgers on opening day. Gets ahead of Cueto 2-0. 2 hits and a walk for the Dodger catcher. Two and one. Johnny Cueto, all about keeping you off balance at this stage of his career. Pauses and pitches and strike 2. It's not just the differences in windups, it's the differences in tempos between pitches.
And when are you going to start your swing? You know, you really have to wait for him to come towards you.
Grandal serves one to left center, takes off on Pence. He leaps and catches it for the second out. Hunter Pence, a right fielder by trade. Didn't make it look easy, but got there, and Grandal's the second out.
He'll probably take some odd routes out there because he's so used to the ball curving a different direction, playing right field. Now in left, that ball came back to him, hit from a left-handed hitter. Had enough with the outstretched glove to catch it. Even though Grandal got an offer there, he is still hot. That ball was well hit.
2 outs for Matt Kemp. Strike one. And boy, when Yasmani Grandal gets hot, there's nobody hotter. And that's the thing that Dave Roberts kind of had to play, giving Grandal the first 2 starts of the season over Austin Barnes. You ride the hot hand, especially when that hot hand is Yasmani Grandal. And Barnes didn't have a very good spring, and so the decision was made easier for Dave. Nothing in 2.
You know, an example of the character of this team today, early work. Yasmani Grandal out there with Bob Gehring, working with Austin Barnes on his throwing behind the plate and some of his footwork. A guy that was looking like he was going to take your job, you are helping him now.
Johnny Cueto waits on that bounce to come down, and both pitchers perfect through 2 innings. On to the third. Dave Roberts said today he thinks Clayton Kershaw deserves some credit for that, rubbing off on Alex and helping him take that chip on his shoulder attitude that he's got to another level. Highest single season winning percentages since the Dodgers relocated to Los Angeles. Alex Wood last year, the 4th best. I really wish that he could have just done a little better and knocked that next guy down a notch. Or Hershiser's 85 campaign. That's strike 1 on Brandon Belt as we open the 3rd.
You have a year like Alex Wood does, you feel bulletproof. You feel like everything's going to go your way, and the team plays well on the day that you pitch well, and the day you pitch poorly, they play well for you also. Eliminate those losses.
As Belt swinging and missing, and it's 0-2. It's easy to forget that Alex Wood started last season in the bullpen. It wasn't until late April that he was full-time in the rotation. By a month into it, there was no question. In fact, he was the National League Pitcher of the Month in May. And the first pitcher in franchise history to start 11-0. Didn't lose a game until July 21st.
Finished the year strong, 3 scoreless innings in relief. The last World Series game he pitched in.
How about what he did in that start in Game 4, right?
Well, he had a no-hitter going for a while.
Yeah, into the 6th. Only thing he gave up was the George Springer home run and the Dodger win in Houston. Kind of guy that thrives in big moments like that. He's got the right personality, the right attitude for it. And he's got a strikeout of Brandon Belt to open the 3rd, his first of the night. Join T-Mobile and score free MLB.tv all season long. Sign up now through April 2nd at T-Mobile.com/MLB. Both teams looking for their first base runner as the 8-hitter Brandon Crawford stands in. Has homered twice against Alex Wood in 9 career at-bats. And there for strike 1. Alex, one of the many Dodgers that got married this offseason. Wife Susanna. It was a busy offseason for him. Not just his own wedding, but bouncing around to teammates' weddings. And his alma mater went to the national championship game in Atlanta. Georgia Bulldogs, and Alex went. So he decides to splurge on a ticket and go. And then they lose in overtime, right? And for Alex, he said, geez, the second heartbreaking loss of the year. Although quickly admitted wasn't nearly as tough to stomach as Game 7. His 2-1 to Crawford. Blowing away for ball 3, and we check in with Alana.
Joe, Kyle Farmer was Alex Wood's roommate at the University of Georgia, and of course teammates on that Bulldog baseball team. So you're talking about the national championship in football, and at FanFest I asked Kyle if he was able to go with Alex. He said, no, I used to be married to him, but now he took his actual wife.
Probably a smart move. 3-2. There's Kyle, first opening day roster for him. Two of the 3 Georgia Bulldogs on the roster. Don't forget about Josh Fields, who may be the most Georgia of the 3 of them. Crawford down on strikes, and back-to-back Ks to open the 3rd.
Well, you talked about Alex Wood's personality, the perfect personality to accentuate the Kershaw intensity. But it's a different intensity on the field for Alex than it is off the field. What a gentleman, what a kind spirit. He definitely has a different game face than what you will meet in the public.
Johnny Cueto at bats, always something. Strike 1.
You know what? Johnny Cueto is like the right-handed Rich Hill.
With a little more flair.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. and may not take it as seriously as Rich, but I totally get what you're saying, and I like it. Nothing in 2.
Little different hair.
I think Rich could pull it off, though, don't you?
Yeah, he should go for it.
What a chance to strike out the side. Instead, Cueto puts it in play and makes his way 45 feet up the line. A 1-2-3 third. Alex Wood 9 up, 9 down in his season debut.
Bank of America continues here at Dodger Stadium, and what a weekend it has been so far as the Dodgers continue to honor Kirk Gibson this weekend after he threw out the ceremonial first pitch yesterday. Of course, such an iconic home run in the history of the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Bulldog catching him, and of course the iconic 2 fist pump after such an amazing home run. And the Dodgers have a commemorative seat here in the right field pavilion, seat 88, where Kirk Gibson signed it, and they're pairing it with the seat next to it for $300 per home game. Now, $200 of the $300, guys, goes to Parkinson's Research and Kirk Gibson Foundation. They're trying to raise awareness and research benefiting Kirk Gibson, of course, as well as so many people that are afflicted with this disease. We had an opportunity to speak to Gibby today on the set. He's doing well. He looks good. And I know, Bulldog, you've enjoyed spending some time with him this weekend.
He's absolutely amazing man, and he continues to fight, but he does not see it as a sentence. He sees it as just a new challenge, and he is doing very well. We're going to probably get to visit with him here later in the game.
And a guy that probably makes Kirk Gibson proud. Chase Utley takes ball 1 inside. Caught out of the same cloth, aren't they?
They sure are. The intensity, the moment they get out of their car as they arrive at the ballpark, I think their game face comes on even as they walk into the locker room.
Cueto's 1-0 is upstairs. Both teams looking for their first base runner of the game.
I think in the next few weeks or so, you're going to see an article about Mr. Gibson in Sports Illustrated. There was a Sports Illustrated writer here yesterday that was rounding up Peter O'Malley and Fred Clare and myself and Fernando and Tommy Lasorda to talk about Kirk.
Sky high pop up. Evan Longoria.
Third baseman, number 11.
The Dodgers trying to find that offense for the first time this season. 7 up and 7 down, and Logan Forsythe to the plate. Not exactly an easy thing, right, to get shut out on opening day and then to try and get right day 2 against Johnny Cueto. I know he's not what he once was, but what he is not fun to face. All those different deliveries. There's one of them, and there's a strike.
Hitters will admit that early in the season, early in spring training, the pitchers are ahead of the hitters because hitting is an experiential part of the sport. You need to see good pitching.
Forsythe, liner to center. Jackson misread it, but recovered for the second out.
Seeing good pitching, seeing sliders, big league curveballs when the arms are fully in shape, seeing the extra velocity that big league pitchers get when all of a sudden you're in a triple-decker stadium, and instead of the single-level stadiums in Arizona and Florida, it becomes a different thing to do.
2 out, bases empty, and Alex Wood takes a ball. Some of the thinking from the guys around the cage was that the lack of offense yesterday, not just on the Dodgers side, but the Giants only had 1 run, had to do with the time of day the game was played. You won't have too many games start around that 4 o'clock hour. The shadows and the light, the way that it was at that time, added layer of difficulty. We're hopeful under the lights change the story. So far, not the case.
They'll get another game like that on Sunday.
5 o'clock. 2-2 on Alex Wood. It's full. That's all you can ask for from your pitcher. Make him work. Wood seen 5 pitches against Cueto, who's next will be his 40th of the night. Wasting no time bringing it. Down the middle for strike 3. 9 up, 9 down both sides into the middle innings. Kirk Gibson being honored all weekend, a Dodger legend. BMW. See a Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers, or visit SoCalBMW.com. And by Jack in the Box. Come try the new food truck series featuring 3 new food truck inspired sandwiches only at Jack in the Box. Look at those 2 handsome fellas. Oral Hershiser, Kirk Gibson.
Hair.
Huh?
A little bit of moss there.
And as we promised, Kirk Gibson joins us in the booth. Gibby, I hope that this weekend has been half as special for you as it has been for everybody that's been able to be here and watch it. It's been awesome having you.
It's great, but it's time to put it to rest, and it's time for the Dodgers to get on and win some ball games and win a world championship here 30 years later. That's what I'm thinking.
How special was yesterday for you?
Yeah, it was great, and Oral, of course, as good as he always is. He's a great teammate. He added a lot to it as well, and we merely represented our team. We were a great team. Tommy's still hanging in there. That was fun as well. But when I was walking up to the dugout, really, I felt like I was going to play a game, and that's a good feeling, isn't it, Bulldog?
It's a great feeling. You get that feeling when you're all of a sudden out there in front of a packed house again. You know, people ask me, what's it like to see the home run? Every time I see it, I get goosebumps. But yesterday, to see it back on Dodger Stadium knowing you're about to come out of the dugout for the first pitch, but with the bat, and to see it up there, I was holding back tears. It was absolutely amazing.
Well, I remember you telling me after my first swing, you said, "Oh, Gibby, don't embarrass yourself." So we embarrassed ourselves with a little celebration. That was all we were doing, and that's a cool thing that I don't know where that came from, but.
Austin Jackson with a ground ball to third, a high throw from Forsythe, and the Giants have the first base runner with the game as Jackson reaches to start the fourth.
You know, as you watch this Dodger team, doesn't it remind you of the heart and soul and the grit of our '88 team?
Well, I watched them last year in the playoffs and in the World Series, and it was a heartbreaker in Game 7. And I feel that they're a better team because of what they went through. I think they'll stand up to it much better. There's something about being there, as you know, and you know, they expect to win. The organization has always found a way to win, and it's amazing as many divisions that they've been in and won that they haven't got a World Series yet, but I think they're well prepared to do that this year.
Joe Panik lays down a bunt at Logan Forsythe and advances Jackson into scoring position.
Now right there, Bulldog, you can remember that. You practice in spring training. Take your time. Make sure you get the out. You know, when you're younger, you might panic a little bit. Try and get the guy at second or rush the throw to first, and you got all kinds of time. These are the types of things I like to talk about and like to watch. I saw you studying your stuff up here when I snuck in the back door here.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bruce Bochy taking a page out of Tommy Lasorda's book, or the old school of sacrifice bunting.
They say you score more runs by not doing that.
Right.
But there's also a stat that says if you score first, you win more games, right?
I think so.
Kirk, let me ask you this. Baseball in 2018, we're seeing so many of these hitters concentrate on hitting the ball in the air and altering their swing to maximize getting the ball in the air. What do you think of that almost like league-wide approach at this point as Andrew McCutchen comes up and takes ball one?
Well, again, there are metrics that suggest certain guys, if you've got the ability to create a certain angle and a certain velocity of the ball coming off, that you're going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And it seems like they're stronger and faster. They use way lighter bats now than we use. You know, I used to use 35, 34, 35, maybe 33. The home run bat, by the way, was a 31 reject bat that I didn't like because it was too light. These guys are a lot smarter than us, so they've got a nice light bat, shorter, they can get it around quicker, and they believe they can create more velocity. But you know, it's all relevant to your own game and what you feel comfortable with, and you know, the end result is what you're after, and you want to win as many games as you can, and you want to have the ability to hit the guys at the end of the game, the bullpen guys, because they're so specialized. When I came into the game, Goose Gossage was the best closer in the game, and he threw 100 miles an hour, but he also threw 3 innings. So if you got a second chance at him, maybe you had a better chance. It's not like that anymore. They fire him out there at you.
You know, science has caught up with the bats too. They can make them lighter now and harder, where in our day, if they were lighter, they usually broke a little easier.
Yeah, well, I mean, like a maple.
Just to dry them out.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
You know,
the maple bat's harder. You know, if you're a logger, if you've ever done it, it'll split a lot easier. So that's, baseball did a good job. Everybody was using the light maple bats. They were really projectiles that were going to harm people. They made them a certain length, a certain weight, so it wouldn't do that. So the game is much safer because of technology.
Speaking of bats, that was the real bat that you guys had yesterday, the real bat from '88, right?
It's got a lot of character on it if you ever have a chance to look at it. I sat there and talked about it. There's red ink on it from the foul balls. There's the World Series balls, the ink is red on, and there's cleat marks all over it. You can see where the 00 cleat marks were nothing. They resembled nothing to the 3-2 cleat marks, much deeper. Really pretty cool. And where I hit the ball off the sweet spot, it actually chipped a piece of wood out of there.
Well, if you ever thought he wasn't into details, he could describe the bat with the where the foul ball marks are, that the cleat marks are deeper in the 3-2 count.
I missed one part. Okay, you have grains. You like that. That's an ash bat, by the way. That's not maple. And the grains, if you get lucky and it's not a dried out bat, the grains are nice and wide, and you take BP with it, then they rise. It's kind of like It's not cheating, is it?
No.
It's just legal.
Right.
But
Strategy.
It raises, and then when you hit it, you get more backspin on it, which you're trying to get backspin. That it makes the ball carry out of the ballpark.
McCutcheon, they say, offers. Alex Wood strikes him out for out number 2 in the 4th.
Alex Wood's got good stuff tonight. Good sequence right there. Ate him up inside.
Yeah, he had a really good year last year, a career year for him on wins and ERA, made the All-Star team. But yeah, this young man out here is a competitor that you would absolutely love to be his teammate.
Yeah, I was talking to him about the no windup. You know, he's trying to simplify much the same as a hitter does.
Yeah.
You know, the less moving parts that you have, whether you're hitting, I guess, or pitching, the easier it is to duplicate and do what you're trying to do.
Faces Posey with a man at 2nd and 2 out. Misses low, ball 1.
You know, Joe, this is not our typical interview with a guy that wants to get up after a half inning. If you're talking baseball, he could do it all night.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, and he does. The Detroit Tigers television broadcasts. How many games are you going to do this year? How many?
63, 66, depending on rainouts and how many certain people take from us occasionally. You know.
Yeah, the national broadcast. They
stole
the big
our
boys. Opening day here.
The big boys move in. Then you tip your cap to them. That's okay. I don't have any problem being the B team. B team's just as important as the A team, right?
You're pretty good at coming off the bench.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking the Danny Heaps, Stubby, Hatcher.
Yeah, the stuntmen.
The stuntmen, exactly. Many names on the 88 team that people would never even know who they were. We know who they are. You know, there's a point about making positives out of a negative. A lot of people think because you're a stuntman that is a demotion, they actually trick themselves to believe that they actually had a better job than we did.
Pretty much.
On some days they did, by the way.
And they were more significant than we were.
Yeah, and they also reminded us that we'd stunk occasionally. We took that.
Keep you grounded, right?
Well, that's part of being a team. You can't be sensitive. You know, I have no saying that you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know, people have something to say. They're a teammate. If you handle a situation wrongly, somebody's got to speak up. You can't let it fester. All of a sudden you look out there in BP. I used to go out in the field every day, study what every player does. Because when that routine changes, something's going on. And you got to dig in there and got to maybe ask a hard question now and then and invite them to do the same to you.
We were talking earlier while Chase Utley was hitting that he's probably somebody, and we were assuming this, probably somebody that you appreciate his approach to the game. Is that an accurate assumption?
Man, I tell you what, I remember scouting the Phillies, and we saw a play where there were, I think they had a couple guys on base, and Utley hit a number out in front of the plate. He ran down first baseline, and right at the last second he veered hard to the left in the infield and jumped to let the ball hit him in the head. My type of guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's Chase Utley in a nutshell. Kirk Gibson, loved having you here. It's been awesome having you around for the weekend. I know we speak on behalf of every Dodger fan everywhere in saying that.
Thanks for having me. Good luck. Go Dodgers.
Thanksgiving.
Third base coach Chris Woodward is mic'd up for infield practice, plus Jock Peterson takes part in Albert Pujols' Ultimate Drive charity event. Don't miss Backstage Dodgers, presented by Cadillac, tonight after the postgame show on Sportsnet LA.
Second time through the order for the Dodgers, still looking for their first base runner of the game. And still looking for their first run of 2018 as Chris Taylor fouls it off.
Can I just say how much I just enjoyed that half inning?
Man, me too. Me too. It was cool just to listen to you two chat about 88.
We got to do that up in the suite that the Dodgers gave Kirk because of his weekend and with his whole family. Joanne was in here in the press box as Kirk was with us for that half inning. His family's here. It was awesome yesterday to have Peter O'Malley up there in the box, and Fred Clare and Mickey Hatcher. It was just an awful lot of fun, and to continue our conversation from yesterday and have the folks at home get to hear Kirk here and on the pregame show with Alana and Omar and Jerry. It was awesome.
Here's an 0-2. That's low, ball one. It's amazing to me how Kirk Gibson as a player had a reputation of being one of the toughest you-know-whats that you will ever see. You meet him now, as gentle of a giant as you will ever meet. As kind of a man. Inside 2-2.
That was always there, but you never got to see it because the game face was on. And as a manager, needed to personify that toughness he wanted his team to have on the field and off.
Taylor cracks a pop fly into center. Jackson for the first out.
Number 5, Corey Seager.
Scoreless in the fourth, and here's Corey Seager. Had the hardest hit ball of the night against Cueto. Hard line out to right, and has always hit Johnny Cueto well. He's hitting .370 with a home run in his 2 full major league seasons. Cueto's first one is cut on and missed. That thing disappeared, and it's 0-1. So Johnny Cueto recapturing some of the form of 2016 here in his first start of 2018. It's outside, and it's 1-1. 18-5 with a .279. And started the All-Star game in his first year with the Giants in 2016. Again, pulls the string and gets ahead 1-2.
Well, not only does he change speeds with that changeup, but it dives. The bottom drops out, and it doesn't move a lot, but it moves late. His best ones are actually right down the middle of the plate, because that's when they go straight down. The ones that are a little bit more to arm side, outside corner to a left-handed hitter, have a little bit of a tail, can stay on the barrel of the bat a little longer. The one's right down the middle.
Change up heavy so far, and a 2-2. Tries to wrap one through the back door, and it's outside, full count.
Perfect example of the one that kind of tails away towards that outside corner, a little flatter, a little up. Your hand gets on the side of it.
See what he goes to on a payoff. For the Dodgers shortstop Corey Seager, a pause and a pitch and a pop. Crawford out, Jackson in, 2 out. Up comes Yasiel Puig, who's still looking for his first hit of the season. Out of the 3 spot where Dave Roberts is plugged in with Justin Turner out. He wants to give him a bit of a runway there, give him an opportunity for a couple of weeks to show that he can be the guy there. Worked the full count his first time before flying out to right field. Now the 26-year-old out of Cuba. 6th major league season. Hard to believe all that time's gone by since his debut. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Lower right-hand corner showed 93 miles an hour. Still got a little left in the tank there, a little higher than the average fastball from last year. Always been a great first half pitcher in his career. Seems to wear down a little bit in the second half.
1-2.
93 to 82, and you saw the bottom drop out of that changeup. It's official. We've got a pitcher's duel, Joe.
Oof. Looks like a breaking ball, and it's a change. The 1-2. Threw it again. Puig took it, and the count evens. A little firmer that time.
Well, the challenge is Cueto's doing a great job keeping the ball down. So you're saying to yourself as a hitter, make him get it up, make him get it up. Well, then when he brought it up to Seager, he put it up and in and jammed him.
And excuse me, swing tapper to first. 4 innings, no hits either side. On to the 5th. Back in a moment. Sportsnet LA is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. It's Toyota's Ready, Set, Go sales event. Now get amazing deals on a tough new Tacoma. This is the cover of the 1988 Dodgers yearbook. You have one of those laying around somewhere?
I might have a small case.
Oh, okay.
I kept a lot of things from the career in bulk because knowing that charities maybe someday after a special year like that would want some things that were autographed that they could auction off and raise money, and still to this day Kirk has done that, others have done that. So when the requests come in, we are ready.
Alex Wood starts Evan Longoria with a strike with an off-speed pitch. There's been one base runner in this game. It was Austin Jackson reaching on an Evan Longoria throwing in. Reaching on Logan Forsythe throwing in. No balls, 2 strikes. And so far so good for the wind-up-less Alex Wood.
He's faced 13 batters. 7 of them hit the ball on the ground. 3 strikeouts and 3 balls in the air.
Upset with himself as Longoria fouls it off. Still 0-2. A really good major league pitcher, say they make 30 starts in a season, have their best stuff for a third of them, maybe half of them.
1 out of 3 to 1 out of 4 times. And then 1 is usually bad out of that sequence or where you're really struggling. And then the others, you're making adjustments all the time, trying to figure it out. But where it just flows out of your body and you know exactly what you're doing and you don't really even have to think about it, well, 1 out of every 4 or 5 starts.
And so the question becomes, and what separates the great ones from the good ones from the ones that don't last, what do you do the other nights? Longoria hits a bouncer to Logan Forsythe for the first out. And in talking with Yasmani Grandal, who has caught most of Alex Wood's starts since he came over to the Dodgers, he says that's where the biggest jump has come, and where it goes with a lot of the more veteran pitchers as they go deeper into their careers. They learn how to succeed, how to turn those flip of a coin nights into wins versus losses when you just don't have your best stuff. And he says Alex Wood, more than ever before, his last year wore down, figured out how to pitch his best without his best stuff. Hunter Pence takes ball one.
Difference between a guy with good stuff and a guy who knows how to win. And if you're going to capsulize that thought or that battle, that is a knowledge of how to win. That man has it in spades.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday is a good example. I know he didn't win the game, but Kershaw didn't have his best stuff and still struck out 7. Held the Giants to just the 1 run on the Joe Panik homer. Wood to Pence with a 1-1, and he got it by him for strike 2.
And Clayton's post-game sound with Alana doing the interview, you know, talked about I've got a lot to work on. There were a lot of things I need to. Tried to specify what do you need to work on. Almost everything. Get better everywhere.
Softly hit. Forsythe's been busy. He juggles, recovers, and throws in time for the second out. And this is one where they'll take a look at the replay.
Oh, this is not because Logan Forsythe is playing third base instead of second base. This is a rarity to watch him struggle with ground balls or throwing the ball. It's just a blip on the screen that's happened twice, it looks like, here tonight. Does he get him? It looks like he's going to be safe.
Call on the field is under review.
Yep.
It shouldn't take long, but you definitely still have to go to the headsets and make sure that New York confirms it.
Giants are challenging the call on the field that the runner was out at first base.
Take a look at the Barango slow-mo cam as we wait for New York's call, and that came very quickly. Call from New York comes safe. The call from Morongo is safe.
So the second base runner of the night in this game, and both of them have resulted from Logan Forsythe errors. Throwing error, now fielding error. Played 42 games at third base last year and had 3 errors total. He has 2 tonight. To your point about how rare fielding issues are for him, and what is his natural spot of third. Brandon Belt, strike 1.
Well, the errors have not hurt the Dodgers and not helped the Giants, but the place it does help is the intensity that Alex Wood has to throw from the mound with a man on, and in his scoreless game with the opposing pitcher matching him 0 for 0.
And 0 and 0. Overshift on Brandon Belt. Tries to lay off and does. No swing, 1-1. This is a really interesting dynamic in the day and age we live in baseball, when there are no hits and you get this drastic of a shift behind you. With Corey Seager, the lone man on the left side of the infield. Got to be somewhat of an uncomfortable thing in the mind of Alex Wood, even though he knows it's put in the position to best help him succeed based on the numbers. 1-2. You throw it like that, doesn't matter where you line him up.
Well, the data says the fielder should play there, and that's where they are, and that has worked throughout all baseball now. That's why batters are now trying to hit the ball in the air more often, because the fielders are so specifically positioned on the infield to exactly where they normally hit their ground balls. The uneasiness for me in a 0-0 game would only be to make sure that I throw the correct pitches that make them hit into the shift.
Woods 1-2. A fly ball to left field. Easily playable for Matt Kemp. 2 out.
You could almost see Belt right there trying to make kind of a half swing, pepper swing to pepper the ball to the left side of the field, but in doing that, changing the plane of his swing, pops the ball up. Watch the shortened swing and just kind of trying to play pepper over there with the left side. It gets under it, drops the barrel.
Well, one of the first guys to really shift a lot was Joe Madden when he was in Tampa Bay, and he would look at a play like that as a huge win for the shift when the hitter alters his mindset and alters his approach as a result. With 2 out, Brandon Crawford looks at ball 1, especially when it's a powerful guy like Bell.
Well, you think about David Ortiz, a lot of shifts on him as shifts came into vogue, and you know, they're like, go ahead and take your base hit to left, big boy.
Right.
There's a lot of damage to center and right. We're protecting.
Pence at first. Beating the throw from Logan Forsythe after Forsythe juggled. Wood to Crawford with a 1-0. Strike 1. Everything's been working for Alex Wood tonight.
Breaking ball. His breaking ball has been more of his whiff pitch tonight, where the off-speed stuff like the changeup has been more his ground ball pitch.
One and 2.
It could have been a breaking ball, and it could have been a pulled changeup. I'm not sure. Maybe a little big cutter even. It was an odd little break, but it was effective. I didn't really try and read the pitch there. I was trying to see where his hand was on the ball during the delivery and couldn't pick it up.
A 1-2. And a softly hit tapper. This is going to be a tough play. A barehanded no play for Seager.
I don't know if Corey Seager tried to avoid the runner, Hunter Pence. If he runs into him, it'd be interference and he would be out. Seager would, but it looked like Corey kind of alters his course to avoid Pence. Yes, he could have went right at him. You risk injury. You probably get yourself an out.
Instead, that is the first hit of the night for either side. Now the Giants go from not having a hit to having first and second with 2 out, although Johnny Cueto at the plate.
2 errors on the infield and possibly an error in judgment right there have set the table here for the Giants.
Last start of last season, Alex Wood took a no-hitter into the 6th. This season, he opens it with a no-hitter through 4 2/3 before an infield single from Brandon Crawford. And now ball 1 on Johnny Cueto.
Can't lose your aggressiveness in the strike zone. It is a pitcher, of course, but you almost feel like the game's on the line. And the other guy's got a no-no, and you just gave up your first bleeder.
On a strike.
A certain portion of your mind on the mound tells you that baseball probabilities are that even weak balls turn into hits, and you don't want the pitcher to get one here. Trying to find a way to put him away and don't let him make contact.
Alex Wood, such a perfectionist, and you see that bulldog mentality that he's got on the mound, that chip on the shoulder that he pitches with. That all comes from that foundation of him being a perfectionist. Another soft grounder to second. Chase Utley's got it. 5 shutout innings from Alex Wood. A couple of base runners, no true damage. Halfway home in a scoreless game.
They should
pitchers duel tonight. 4 no-hit innings for Johnny Cueto. Alex Wood has given up just 1 infield hit through 5 innings, and we're scoreless to the bottom of the 5th.
These two guys are locked in like it's mid-season form. Coming out of spring training, got all their work done no matter what the spring training stats say. They are both ready for the season and letting you see some great pitching.
Dodgers held without a run last night, without a hit so far tonight. Middle third of the order against Cueto as Cody Bellinger takes one off of the inside, ball 1. Anything in particular the Dodgers you see collectively that can change and alter the way things are going against Cueto?
They've got to get him more in the middle of the strike zone if he'd ever throw a ball there. He's keeping the ball down when it's a changeup and having it bury, and then when he's throwing the fastball, even though it's down a tick or 2 from his normal velocities that were expected, it's well located.
Bellinger ahead of him, 2-1.
You can think of him as a 3-pitch pitcher, but with 5 or 6 deliveries and all the different locations and speeds he throws things at, he's throwing the whole kitchen sink at you. You have to just relax, see ball, and hit ball.
2010, he's on the disabled list while he was in Cincinnati and couldn't do much. So he was just sitting around waiting for his shoulder to start to feel better. Started to feel well enough where he could play catch again, and he's a fun-loving guy. Bellinger gets under it. This will be an easy play on the right side of the infield. Who wants it? Crawford for the first out. And so he starts messing around with his deliveries like we've all done playing catch in the backyard, right? But this particular time, he's turning his back to his catch partner. He's doing that rocking chair thing he does, and his catch partner said, "Man, you are filthy right now. You're on the disabled list, but your stuff is filthy while you're altering these windups and these deliveries. And you know what? Maybe you should try that. Maybe you should take it into a game." Just misses with the first one to Grandal. And so he said, okay, I'll give it a shot. What does he do the next year? A breakout season, a 2.31 ERA. And what's happened is that he's gone from not being the combination of stuff and craftiness like he was then, but to surviving in the majors without the stuff, without the same stuff, because of the craftiness. 2-1. It's not like the stuff is gone, but it's not what it was at the start of his career. He's still an above average pitcher because of how he's reinvented himself.
Less stuff, more Johnny.
Grandal fouled that ball off of himself. Let's see exactly where.
Off the top of his right foot. Maybe more the ankle than the foot. Oh, it's a little stiff and it hurts a lot, but you also think about then the position he plays and the pressure he puts on those feet and those ankles when he's behind the plate every single pitch. A little easier for a guy out in the field that they can kind of walk it off in between pitches. For a catcher, that lower half of your body needs to be as healthy as could be to take the wear and tear back there.
Fouls it back, 2-2. Now Kemp due next. Cueto pitches and Grandal swings and misses at one in the dirt. That is only the second strikeout of the game for Cueto, and it's the second out of the 5th. The 60th anniversary collector's card sets presented by 76 celebrates every decade the team has been in LA. Be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance April 10th, Dodgers and A's, and receive the first set, which comes from 1965, a championship season. Go to Dodgers.com/promotions to learn more. Base is empty, 2 gone, and it's Matt Kemp. Jam foul. Kemp has good numbers against Cueto. This guy's broke into the league around the same time. Cueto with the Reds made his major league debut in 2008. And Matt Kemp with the Dodgers debuted in 06, but didn't really become an everyday guy until Cueto's rookie year of 08. A crack bat roller to short. Johnny Cueto with 5 no-hit innings. On to the 6th. No score. Score to the 6th inning, and we take a look at the calendar for the Dodgers coming up. 2 more in this series, tomorrow night and Sunday night, and then they hit the road for the first time with 3 in Arizona and 3 in San Francisco after an off day on Thursday. The teams get together a bunch early on. In fact, they'll have played 10 times before April's over. Austin Jackson starting the 6th and looking at a strike from Alex Wood, who's given up just 1 infield single through 5 innings tonight. Nothing in 2. Jackson, a 31-year-old, now with his 6th different team. He kind of out of the middle of nowhere. Had a career year last year in Cleveland. Played in about half the games as a utility outfielder. Hit .318 for the Indians and parlayed that into a 2-year contract with the Giants. One-time top prospect in the Yankees system. Yankees traded him in a deal that included Max Scherzer and Curtis Granderson in a 3-way deal with Arizona and Detroit. Jackson went from New York to Detroit, then to Seattle for a while, then with the Cubs. That one sweeps in the zone for strike 3.
Alex Wood has divided his 3 pitches up pretty evenly tonight with the fastball, the breaking ball, and the changeup. That one a little bit of a high cutter slash fastball got in there. Maybe that was the slider, just got a little underneath it. Today's day and age, though, with a lot of the locations to get hitters out slightly up, sometimes those breaking balls up there are pretty good.
Joe Panik with 1 out. Pops this up. Matt Kemp. And 2 quick outs in the 6th. Plan ahead and arrive early for special pregame ceremonies throughout this opening series with the Giants. Tomorrow, be here by 5:30 for National League ring ceremony you won't want to miss. Go to Dodgers.com/tickets before Kenta Maeda faces Derek Holland in Game 3. Ah, yes, we have been with Gibby. Kirk Gibson bobblehead giveaway tonight. McCutcheon's 0 for 2. Grandal sets the target low and away, and Wood hits it. Bullseye, strike one. Chopper to short, under the glove of Seager. And a third error on the Dodgers tonight.
Corey Seager will not want me to make any excuses for him. He definitely has to have this ball. I can't even blame it on few reps in spring training. He's played on the backfields in past springs and come out looking like a Gold Glover. That's just one he missed.
So the pitching has been brilliant for the Dodgers in these two games. The other two phases, not so much. Offense non-existent, and a 3-error night tonight. Keeps the door open for Buster Posey. Alex Wood delivers to him. Posey strikes it in the air to right. Yasiel Puig. It led to just one additional pitch and sends us to the bottom of the 6th. Who will crack through first? Cueto against Wood. It's been a dandy tonight.
Let's take a look back at all of Johnny Cueto's deliveries. Quick step from the full windup. Oh, now he's going to twist like the old Louis Tiant move. Now a little hesitation with the step back foot only, and then abbreviated leg kick. I think we're going to get into the shimmy shake here pretty soon. There could be a Cueto dance. Oh, there we go. He's got them all, and he's also got the pitches, and he's got it all working tonight. No one has reached base for the Dodgers.
Earliest no-hitter in a season, by the way, Hideo Nomo threw a second no-hitter. Remember, he threw the one for the Dodgers at Coors Field, but when he was with the Red Sox in 2001, the second game of the season, no-hit the Orioles at Camden Yards, but that was on April 4th. Nobody's ever thrown one in March. Chase Utley leads off the 6th and hits it foul, strike one. The earliest perfect game in baseball history. And yes, we're still talking perfect game. The Dodgers no base runners through 5. Phil Umber of the White Sox, April 21st in 2012 in Seattle. That was in game 14 of the year. Cueto to Utley 0-1. Strike two. Veteran against veteran. 0-2 pitch. And Utley took that changeup. Almost an impossible take on a night like this. And they looked at ball one.
Johnny Cueto feels like he can throw any pitch in any count with any delivery. That is a wide variety to try and hit. Relied heavily on the changeup down, if you remember, early in the game. And now we've reached the midpoint of the game or so, and he's going a little bit more, his finished pitch more of a fastball up or a cutter up.
Gets in the hands with this fastball. There have been a lot of pop-ups from Dodger hitters tonight. Wasn't an easy catch for Posey, but he made it, and Utley's the first out of the 6.
So much is talked about with pitching of changing a batter's eye. So he has convinced the Dodger lineup that the changeup down is mostly going to be my out pitch. But now, as he goes around the order again, he's changed their eye, and their eyes and their sights are down to make sure they can battle that ball by the knees. But then he rides the ball up on him, and he's getting some uppercut pop-up swings.
Here goes Logan Forsythe with one gone in the 6th. It's almost like, don't they have a feeling that the Dodgers are losing this game, just kind of with a mood of not having a run yet this year, and with how dominant Cueto is. But with what Alex Wood has done, still no score, still tied. 1 ball and 1 strike.
No real focus right now that you can put on the Dodger lineup and say this part of the lineup is not functioning well. It is whole team other than Yasmani Grandal.
Alex Wood just 75 pitches deep, so no hit for himself. Cueto has one that he likes and brings a 1-2 to Forsythe. 2-2. Logan looking for his first hit of the season, having lined to center. His first time up tonight after an 0 for 4 yesterday. The 2-2. Upstairs, ball 3. Had a few 3-ball counts early, but we've not had too many deep counts the last few innings.
Cueto has given up 10 balls in the air. That is the most since 2016 for him. So you mentioned the pop-ups he's been getting. We're barely halfway through the game.
Here comes a payoff, and Forsythe pops it foul, and we'll see another.
Combination of his stuff and elevating that fastball and the new hitting theory of trying to hit the ball in the air.
More pop-ups not just in this game, but across baseball as a result. Forsythe making him work. Johnny Cueto huffing and puffing, 79 pitches into a perfect game through 5 1/3. His 3-2 again. Strikes him out at 92, 2 gone.
There's upper part of the strike zone, and then there's up the ladder. This is a ball, but it is hard to lay off of. You're trying to make him get the ball up, find something straight to hit. It's straight, it's up, but just a little too high.
Alex Wood. Strike 1. Again, the only hit in this game, if you happen to just be joining us, an infield single against Wood. That was in the 5th.
Clayton Kershaw got a couple hits yesterday as a pitcher.
Quick pitches in ball 2. You're saying when Wood was facing Cueto, you can't lose focus on the opposing pitcher, and especially when you got a perfect game going, as Cueto does. And a little cute there. Fell behind. Now a 2-1. Misses for ball 3. He's walked out to the edge of the plank of this perfect game against the Dodger pitcher, who of course had to take, and it's 3-2.
Backed off a fastball and just threw it 86 on the outer half.
Strike 3 called. Johnny Cueto, perfect through 6 innings. Alex Wood thought that he had become the first Dodger base runner of the night. What do you think at home? Pretty good.
The 3, including 12-game bobblehead plan featuring the newly introduced Justin Turner walk-off home run bobblehead presented by State Farm, and the Kenley Calrissian Star Wars bobblehead. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/mini-plans.
Nice job.
Calrissian.
You practiced it enough during the commercial there. We had no choice
Hey,
but to
don't
nail
give
it.
away
Hey.
behind the curtain stuff.
7th inning, no score. No hits, no base runners for the Dodgers against Johnny Cueto. Only 1 infield hit for the Giants. Joe Davis, Or Hershiser, and Alana Rizzo. Alex Wood, magnificent so far. Evan Longoria with a tapper along third that's foul.
Start of that foul ball, I'm saying, are you kidding me?
No.
That was about the speed of the only hit in the game.
You know, as you get to this point in a scoreless game, you can't help but think back to last August and Rich Hill's no-hitter, or perfect game turn no-hitter, turn loss in Pittsburgh. Because Johnny Cueto can pitch the greatest game in baseball history, and unless the Giants get him a run, it's not going to matter. Just ask Rich Hill that night at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Longoria with a soft bouncing ball to Forsythe. 1 out. Rich Hill had a no-hitter into the 10th inning. He had a perfect game into the 9th inning and a Logan Forsythe error. And it feels weird to say rare tonight because Forsythe has committed 2 of them, but a rare Logan Forsythe error on that night ended the perfect game in the 9th inning. And a home run in the 10th inning from Josh Harrison won it and ended the no-hitter. That's ball 1 on Hunter Pence. It's August 23rd a year ago. I think the most fascinating thing about this one is that it's day 2 of the season. It is still March. And these two men, Johnny Cueto and Alex Wood, almost punch for punch with zeros across the board into the 7th. Pence flips one into center. It hangs up for Chris Taylor. 2 out. And what a memorable night that was in Pittsburgh last year. Rich Hill became apparent midway through that game that he had his very best stuff, and there were some awkward looking swings before Harrison won it to lead off the 10th. Heartbreaking way to lose that game. Boy, Granderson going over to the wall. For a moment it looked like he might make what you would have had to have considered one of the great catches in baseball history if he pulls it in, considering the context. Wasn't perfect, wasn't a no-hitter, but it was special on a night that will always be talked about when it comes to Rich Hill. 1 ball, no strikes on Brandon Belt.
When you have pitchers that are locked in like this, the game changes usually with 1 swing. You cannot pile up hits on guys that are locating the baseball this well. 1 mistake is usually the difference. And 1 really good swing.
It's all it took yesterday, and much less of a pitcher's duel, at least the way that it felt. Joe Panik's home run inside the foul pole. The difference in a 1-0 Giants win on opening day. Softly hit foul, 1-2.
Panik's only 3rd home run in his career off a lefty.
He didn't think that he got it. He thought it was going to spin foul.
I think the wind was blowing in from left field, hit the Dodger Stadium stands, and turned the ball back. It was foul for a good 3/4 of the way, and he was stopping and pulling up. And it looked like the wind brought it back about 10-15 feet into fair ground.
Strike 3. Brandon Belt chases Alex Wood. What a night. 7 innings of shutout ball, and he's given up just an infield single. Johnny Cueto back to the mound with a perfect game intact. Like good pitching, you've come to the right place. Johnny Cueto yet to allow a base runner through 6 innings. Alex Wood just 1 infield single against him. These guys have made these offenses look bad as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Alex Wood and Rick Honeycutt talking about what might lie ahead. 8, 9, and 1 would be due next as Johnny Cueto faces the top of the order and delivers ball 1 to Chris Taylor. Only twice has a Giant no-hit the Dodgers. Last time it happened, 1915. The time before that, 1891 from the Hoosier Thunderbolt, Amos Russi. Cueto pitches 2-0. Taylor foul tips it 2-1.
The most pitches Johnny Cueto has thrown in his career in a game is 125. Starting this inning, he's on pace to throw 128. Will Bruce Bochy let him go for it if it continues?
That's a 2-1 fly. Chris Taylor muscles one right center. Forget about it all. Perfect game gone. No hitter gone. On a leadoff single from Chris Taylor in the 7th.
On a night when Johnny Cueto has gotten more flyouts than any time in his career since 2016, it is a little dunking fly ball that finds the outfield grass for the Dodgers' first base runner. Hands and barrels are overrated?
I think Alex Wood would totally agree with that after the lone hit he gave up. Went about half the distance of that one. And it breathes life into this sellout crowd. So they've got their first base runner. They've got their first hit. What do you think about their first run? How's that sound? Upstairs on Corey Seager, ball 1. Now for Johnny Cueto, in his major league debut, he took a perfect game into the 6th inning. In his very first game in the majors, before Justin Upton hit a home run to break it up. Ground ball to second. Panic to Crawford. He flips it to first, and it's quickly erased. 4-6-3. And so he still faced the minimum through 6 2/3. And so Cueto had that perfect game into the 6th in his debut. The only no-hitter that he's thrown in his professional life came against those Wisconsin Timber Rattlers in the Midwest League in 2006. A range-shortened 5-inning no-hitter. So this was the deepest he had gone, the closest he'd gotten before that man intervened. Now Puig pops the first pitch up into the seats.
We have both managers now off the hook as far as pressure. Can I pull my starter that has a no-hitter going? Bruce Bochy was the last one to spit that hook. Dave Roberts spit it a little earlier with the infield hit off of Alex Wood.
Of course, these two teams engaged in a similar story 2 years ago in Ross Stripling's major league debut. A lot like Johnny Cueto in his major league debut. Took a no-hitter deep into that game. Dave Roberts took him out because of a pitch count. Now, it's obviously a different scenario where Stripling was less than 2 years removed from Tommy John. But the fact that this is the first start of the season, you are right. That was going to put a lot onto the shoulders of these managers if this thing kept going on either side.
And the context for Bruce Bochy with Bumgarner and Samardzija out, and now Cueto acting as the ace. Can you really push him to a point where your rotation is already hurting?
He's run his best pitch all night right there, that changeup. 2-2 on Puig.
If he needs to swing and the miss, it's the change up down. If he's looking for a pop-up or a weakly hit ball, he's elevated the fastball and cutter.
Puig hits one in the air towards the corner, but it's run down by Pence. Oh, it sounded good, it looked good, but it died in the corner, and it's still scoreless. On to the 8th. both sides. Johnny Cueto looks like he's finished. He's due up second in this inning. The pitch count has reached right around 100. Sitting at 97. Alex Wood back out there for the 8th as Brandon Crawford leads it off and takes ball 1. And both bullpens, as you might expect at this point, are active. Pedro Baez and Scott Alexander. And on the other side, it's the former Dodger, Tony Watson, who struck out the side yesterday in his Giants debut. One and one.
97 brilliant pitches from Johnny Cueto. Put his team on his back, and for 7 innings has given him a shot. But so has this man.
1 and 2.
You want to get every hitter out, but in the back of your mind, your pitch selection is what pitch keeps them in the ballpark.
Roller to short, Corey Seager. 1 out. Take a look at the top tier plays of the game, brought to you by Arco, and this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Top plays are the 2 hits. That's the Giants hit. This is the Dodger hit.
Neither one will be graded with exit velocity.
Well, you can grade them, just be poor.
That's true.
Kelby Tomlinson to pinch hit for Cueto. So officially his night comes to an end with 7 shutout innings and just the 1 bloop hit. Face the minimum. Strike 1. And this is the stage where, and this could be said for most pitchers, but Alex Wood tends to struggle, relatively speaking, when he gets past that 80 pitch mark or so. And Dave Roberts sticking with him. He jams one to first, and Bellinger gets in front of it for the 2nd out. That said, Dave Roberts would tell you he trusts his eyes when he gets to this point. He knows the numbers say one thing, but when it comes to a guy like Alex Wood, it's still about the eye test on when to pull the trigger on bringing bullpen help.
Well, and it's also about the context of the marathon of a season, wanting Alex Wood out there for 32 starts. And as we mentioned before, both managers off the hook as far as pulling someone because of pitch count if they had a no-hitter or a perfect game going.
Austin Jackson, high drive to left. Matt Kemp on the move, still going to the warning track to the corner to catch it. It brought rain, but it didn't bring anything else. And it's still scoreless to the bottom of the 8th inning.
It's up there, but it's not out of here. 0-0 still.
Bottom 8, no score. Let's check into the studio for Access Sportsnet Dodgers, presented by your Southern California Ford dealers.
All right, thanks, Joe. Coming up after the game, we'll hear from Alex Wood following his brilliant 2018 season debut. And hopefully, guys, we're talking about some Dodgers runs. Let's go.
Sounds like a plan, John. Who's in, who's out, brought to you by In and Out. Johnny Cueto's night ends, and Tony Watson, who's such an important postseason piece for the Dodgers last year, comes in for the Giants, second time in as many days here in the young season. Struck out the side in yesterday's game. Eight innings from Alex Wood tonight. Now the Dodgers trying to get a run to support it. Cody Bellinger, strike one.
39 home runs last year for Cody Bellinger. This was a slugging Dodger team. Ended up 6th in the big leagues in extra base hits last year. 52 at bats so far this season in 2018. No extra base hits for the Dodgers.
Only hit tonight, bloop single from Chris Taylor, and he was quickly erased on a double play. And now it's Tony Watson. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2. Bellinger looking for his first hit of the year. After an 0 for 4 yesterday, 0 for 2 tonight. Grandal and Kemp to follow in this scoreless 8th inning. Fly back of third. Longoria into foul ground. Out of room. We'll do it again. You know, a lot of times, game 2 of the season, it feels like a bit of a letdown. Like, you know, it's this huge step down from the pomp and circumstance of opening day, and it's usually a Tuesday when the crowds aren't quite as good. Kind of like that the season starts on a Thursday, so game 2 is a sold-out Friday night. Certainly doesn't feel like any kind of letdown from yesterday, at least in the environment. Bellinger strikes out to open the 8th. The Dodgers trying to give the crowd something to really genuinely get excited about.
Watson spins one. It breaks left to right. Not completely where Watson wanted it on the outside corner, but enough to get Bellinger.
Here's Grandal. Another than 1. Seventh year in the majors, 4th with the Dodgers for Grandal. Came over from the Padres in a trade in exchange for Matt Kemp. Waits on deck right now. It's come full circle back to the Dodgers, to San Diego, to Atlanta. Watson's 0-2. 2 out. Kelly Jansen getting loose in the Dodger bullpen.
The fielder, number 27, Matt Kemp.
Well, with the bases empty and 2 gone, it's Kemp.
Cueto was perfect for a while. Watson is still perfect in 2018. 5 strikeouts in the 5 men he has faced. 3 yesterday and 2 so far tonight.
Strike 1 on Kemp. One of the more interesting storylines in this early season is Kemp being with the Dodgers. Kike Hernandez on deck. It looked like just a salary move initially. Turning to Kemp, making the roster as the opening day left fielder. Kind of went from, okay, well, they acquired him, but he probably won't be there on opening day, or he probably won't be there to start spring training, I think was the initial line of thinking. And then spring training arrives and he's there, and it's, okay, well, let's see how long he's in spring training. Keeps hanging around, performing. And now here he is. Softly hit the short, Brandon Crawford. To the 9th we go. Still looking for the first run of this one. Johnny Cueto goes 7 shutout innings tonight, gives up just the 1 single. And Alex Wood, 8 shutout innings, 1 infield single. And still no score as we move along to the 9th inning. And Alex Wood is done. Kenley Jansen comes on for his 2018 debut.
2-time All-Star closer, 2-time Trevor Hoffman National League Reliever of the Year. One of 2 Dodgers ever to record 3 seasons with 40-plus saves. Kenley Jansen is someone they have relied on, and he has been all but perfect.
That ERA you saw last year, 1.32, that was the best in the majors. Heart of the order here, Panik, McCutchen, and Posey. Panik, the only guy in either dugout that has produced a run in this series. His 5th inning home run against Clayton Kershaw yesterday. That's it. Jansen's first pitch of the year is a strike. Be interesting to see where Jansen's velocity sits. It was down during spring training, but he kind of shrugged it off and said, hey, man, it's hard for a closer to get too much adrenaline going in a spring training game. He was confident it would be there once the regular season got rolling. Panik drives one to deep right center field. Puig's running out of room at the wall, and Panik's done it again. A 1-0 Giants win in the opener on a Panik home run. A 1-0 Giants lead in the 9th of Game 2 on a Panik home run.
Cut fastball, you see the target, but Yasmani had to reach back towards the middle of the plate to catch it, so that tells you it didn't cut very much. It really pretty much started the same place it ended up as far as the throw. The hit, not in a good place for the Dodgers.
Now McCutchen. It's a strike, and it's 1-1. One and two. Joe Panik a year ago, 10 home runs total, has 2 over the first 2 days of the season. A 1-2. McCutcheon tries to lay off and does. And the count evens up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning. It's the bottom third of the Dodger order due up. Kike Hernandez available, as is Austin Barnes, Kyle Farmer, and Jock Peterson. Forsythe knocks it down, and a hot shot, able to pick it up and throws it by Bellinger.
I'm sure this will be ruled an error. It'll be Logan's 3rd of the evening, and it'll be a record he wants to forget quickly.
Catcher number 28.
After he committed 3 total at third base last year. And it is. 3 on Forsythe, 1 on Seager tonight. Runner at first, nobody out. Buster Posey the batter. In a 1-0 game and a Joe Panik homer here in the 9th. Posey now, fly ball to left. That Kemp's under it and 1 out.
Third baseman number 10, Evan Longoria.
Well, Joe, you mentioned the observation of thinking about Kenley's velocity. He's been right around 90, 91, some at 89, and that is definitely below last year with the adrenaline of the World Series and the playoffs. You still might be getting that ballistic stretch that you have to get as you ease into a season. Through spring training, you have different periods where all of a sudden your arm really starts to loosen up on you and you start to go to your full potential.
Evan Longoria, 1 on 1 out, takes ball 1. Kenley Jansen was in here running the stairs one of the very first days after Game 7 of the World Series. He's one of the staples of that offseason workout group here. 6 to 10 guys just about every weekday. Jansen, who's turned into a leader for the Dodgers, was consistently one of them. Ball and a strike on Longoria. Keeping McCutcheon close. Not something Jansen used to do a whole lot of, throwing over, but something he's worked on a ton to get more comfortable doing. Pretty healthy lead for McCutcheon. 1 on, 1 out, and a 1-1 pitch. Longoria pops it up. Grandal has plenty of room for out number 2.
Left fielder number 8, Hunter Pence.
With 2 gone, Hunter Pence up. Pence is 0 for 3. Most guys are tonight. Giants 2 hits, Dodgers 1 hit. It's got Alexander getting loose in the Dodger bullpen. Little bit up, ball 1.
After Hunter Pence is Brandon Belt, a left-handed hitter, and then Brandon Crawford, a left-handed hitter. Alexander up not only to face the lefties, but to protect Kenley Jansen's pitch count. There'll be 2 more games against these Giants over the weekend.
Pretty close that time.
Paying attention and also almost picking him off. Jab step towards second for McCutcheon, as the Dodgers hesitate a little bit and say they want to review this.
I think they might have gotten him. They're going to.
Call on the field is under review.
The tag is up high, but is the hand back when it's put on? He looks like he is out by about 6-8 inches.
I just showed that on the video board, and 53,478. See what you're seeing at home. McCutcheon saw it too, and produced a wry smile, at least a hint of one.
Dodgers have left the field, at least some of them. Major League Baseball would like the teams to stay on the field as long as possible until the answer comes from New York.
There it is. But the Giants have broken the scoring seal with a home run from Joe Panik. To the bottom of the 9th we go. 1-0 San Francisco. last chance for the Dodgers, and it comes against Hunter Strickland, who's handling the closing duties of Mark Melanson opening the season on the DL.
Got the save yesterday. His fastball is going to be in the high 90s. He's also got a slider and a curveball and a split.
Chase Utley will lead off the ninth for the Dodgers. Had a base hit yesterday. So far today is 0 for 2. 16-year Major League veteran. First 12-plus seasons, 13-plus seasons with Philadelphia. Now in his third year with the Dodgers. After Utley, Jock Peterson or Logan Forsythe. And then Jock Peterson has shown up in the pitcher's spot, which is due third. So here we go. Strickland's first one. There's a strike. He had a huge spring, Hunter Strickland did, and so really it was no question for Bruce Bochy who to make the closer when Melanson couldn't go. The forearm bothering him again. But left-handers say that they see Hunter Strickland decently well. 1 ball, 1 strike. At least one lefty here. Again, Peterson, it appears, will bat third in this inning. The 1-1. At the knees, strike 2. Kenley Jansen hasn't suffered a loss since June of 2016 against the Giants in San Francisco in extras. Good take. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Panic had a hand in that one as well. He tied the game with a single and then scored the winning run as Buster Posey beat Kenley Jansen on that afternoon. Chase Utley starting the ninth by taking strike 3.
Third baseman, number 11.
Fastball away that does not tail. It hangs right there on the corner. Excellent pitch.
Yeah, now Forsythe. One and all.
Strickland faced 4 hitters last night. Met Kemp, led him off with a single. Osmani Grandal struck out swinging. Logan popped up. And Jock Peterson ended up grounding out to end the game with a man on second, which was the pinch runner Austin Barnes.
Strike 1. And Strickland hoping for almost an instant replay of that with Forsythe here with 1 out. Barnes ready if it gets that far, but Jock Peterson would hit next. Strickland to the plate with a 1-1. Backup slider, but taken for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Strickland knows he doesn't want to repeat this pitch. This is the kind of pitch that'll tie a game. Glad to get that one back in his hand.
Crowd getting restless, not with Logan Forsythe, but with the collection of these first 2 days. Longest the Dodgers have ever gone to start a season without a run was 1968, the year of the pitcher. They went 19 innings to open the year without a run. Now they're at 17 right now. Another 1-2.
No better person tonight to start a rally or to tie this game than Logan Forsythe. He is looking for redemption from his 3 infield errors at third base.
It's interesting, though, not often in a 1-0 game can you get away with 3 errors and not have any of them impact that 1-0 game. Joe Panik's homer, the only thing that's impacted the score. Logan Forsythe, as he did many times last year, making a pitcher work. 7th pitch coming, another 2-2. It's full. The payoff.
Strickland threw 19 pitches last night, 12 for strikes. Dodgers are making him work a little harder right here.
Forsythe in particular, this would be the 9th pitch. Here it comes. Inside corner, strike 3.
Again, not where he wants it, but he gets away with it. It's going to end up a ball, but boy, it just barely catches enough bite at the end to catch the inside corner. Hitter reads that up as a backup slider for a ball, and he got just enough of it.
And so once again, for the 2nd time in as many games this season, Jock Peterson, the last hope for the Dodgers. 1 for 2 against Strickland lifetime. He had that ground out to short to finish yesterday's game. The other at bat, he homered. He pops it up on the first pitch. Back-to-back 1-0 defeats for the Dodgers to open 2018. Tonight they managed just 1 hit against Cueto and 2 relievers. And Joe Panik for the 2nd day in a row, the hero with a solo home run.
160 games more, but they want to get on track quickly. Tomorrow will be the first opportunity.
That'll be Kenta Maeda taking the ball for the Dodgers against Derek Holland. Bro Hershiser, Alana Rizzo, and the rest of our crew. Joe Davis saying so long from Dodger Stadium, where the Giants winning 1-0. Stay tuned for Access Sportsnet Dodgers starting right now.